Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a great start. So today I want to help you navigate the professional services disclosure. I know that this form can be difficult sometimes for you, and I want to help you to complete this form in an efficient way that's easy for you, easy for your clients. First thing I want you to notice is that the way we have this form mapped out that's already in your loops is so that each of these boxes actually become text fields where you can simply enter an X for whether they have waived or selected an option. Now, I do realize it says initial here, but when we look at this form, which is not necessarily a required form by the Real Estate Commission, it's required for Choice Residential agents because it is a CYA form. It's a way for us to prove that, in fact, you did offer particular service to a client if they were to come back later and say, oh, I didn't know I had the option to have that done. This form is there to protect you and to protect the firm, which is why we require it. But even though it says initial, if you were to go through and complete this document with these X marks in each of these fields, it would be reasonably apparent to anyone looking at the document what is happening there. And so when they initial the bottom of page 1 and sign page 2, and you've completed it in this fashion, that is sufficient legally for us to say, yes, they understood that they were waiving that option and selecting another option. So as you go through this form, simply put in X's as to whether they are selecting or waiving their right to have certain things done. Now, having said that, the most important fields on this document are going to be the ones related to things like home inspection, home warranty, and survey, to name a few. So we want to know that the client was made aware of the fact that they could have a home warranty, and they either said, no, I don't want it, or yes, I do want it, and they're selecting it, and you memorialize that decision with this form. Same thing for inspections. Of course, most buyers are going to have a home and termite inspection done, but there are other options that we want to make sure they are given the opportunity to say yes or no to. So you want to make sure on all of these inspection options that you have them either selecting that yes, they want that option, or let's say they said no, they don't want to have an HVAC inspection. You want to make sure you're selecting here that they waived it so that if 3 months after they move in, the HVAC system dies, they aren't coming back to you saying, hey, my neighbor told me I could have had an HVAC inspection. Their agent suggested they do it. Why didn't you tell me about it? Now you can pull this form out and say, hey, I'm so sorry you're having those troubles with your HVAC, but we did talk about that and you selected not to have that inspection done. Here's the document where we went through that and you made that selection. So this will protect you in situations like that. So make sure you go through these. But also there could be something else that maybe isn't on this form. Let's say that the house has a fireplace and a chimney. So you may say, hey, we want to, there's the option to have a chimney inspection done. And the client is going to either, again, waive it or select that, yes, they want to have that done. Now, then, of course, you can enter who the service providers are and, who ordered it. That's less significant to itemize who ordered it, for example, because if they want to have a chimney inspection and they select here that they do want it, of course, you're going to order that, right? Or they're going to order it. But either way, it's going to get ordered. It's going to get completed. So it's really more important that we are documenting when they do not want something done, because if they want it done and it gets done, well, then we all know it got done, right? So it's the things that they say they don't want that they might have selective memory on later. So survey is also another big one there. You want to make sure you have them selecting if they want to forego the option to have a survey done. Then, of course, you're just going to have the clients sign it like any other form, and you'll be signing this as well. And then, of course, make sure that your clients have a copy of it. We appreciate you taking the time to get this done. One last quick note on this. Most agents often will do this towards the end of the transaction. So it might be that last kind of lingering thing in the contract documents folder that makes it so that folder gets returned to you. That's okay. You can either fill this out as you go and you're just going to make updates to it as you go along, or at the end, that's when you can just come through, itemize, and document what their selections were for each of these things. I encourage you, though, even though waiting towards the end of the transaction probably makes sense logistically, just make sure you aren't getting past closing. It's never fun when you have to go back to the client after closing to ask them to complete a form like this. You want to make sure it's all out there prior to closing so that if there is a dispute where they say, hey, I actually did want us to have a radon test done, you can then address it at that point and we don't get past closing. So if you ever have questions about this, reach out to anybody on the team. We're happy to help get you squared away on this. We want this to be an easy form for you to navigate, not one that you dread every time as you approach the end of a transaction. So as always, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you. Until next time, take care.